Okay, here's the new version of 5.7, okay, much shorter version, and it's really the only part that we really need to carry on from here. Okay, so I have this copied down, this proof out of your textbook from a different section. So I want you to pause the video here, write all of this down, and then once you've got it written down, just hit play again and come back and join me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on though. So given segment PQ bisects angle SPT and segment SP is congruent to segment TP, prove then that segment SQ is congruent to segment TQ. Okay, so I'm going to treat this proof as any other proof that we've done before in this chapter, and I'm going to prove that these two triangles are congruent using one of the variations of letters that we've learned about, okay, that work for proving triangle congruence. Okay, so I'm going to start off with segment PQ bisects angle SPT, and that segment SP is congruent to segment TP. Okay, so right there, I know that I have a side. Okay, all of that is given. Okay, so in step 2, this segment PQ bisects angle SPT. I can see here that that means I'm going to have two angles that are congruent. So that would be angle SPQ is congruent to angle TPQ. And that is the definition of angle bisector. Okay, so then that gives me an angle. And then I also see, I've used everything here, and now I can go to my picture. I see that segment PQ is congruent to segment PQ by reflexive. Okay, and that gave me another side. Okay, so if I mark that in my picture then, okay, I see that I have side, angle, side, side, angle, side, so that works. So then in step 4, I'm going to say that triangle SPQ is congruent to triangle TPQ by side, angle, side. And now that I know that those triangles are congruent, then my last step then is what I'm trying to prove, which is that segment SQ is congruent to segment TQ, and I'm going to call that CPCT, okay? And what that stands for is congruent parts of congruent triangles. Okay, so you'll hear CPCT kind of referred to a lot in geometry classes. So that's something that you should know and be aware of. So once you have congruent triangles, you know all of the segments, all three segments are congruent to all three segments, and all three angles are congruent to all three angles. Okay, so that's what we would use to go from there. Okay, so any of these proofs here, if you don't see them say, like, prove that triangle is congruent to triangle, and instead you see something like this, or it might be instead maybe it was angle S is congruent to angle T, whatever it may be, you know that you have to first prove that these triangles are congruent, and then once you can know that they're congruent, then you can follow up with that last proof, and your last reason will always be this CPCT. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, but it should be just kind of short and simple and to the point here.